Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for coming back and looking through one of our interviews with one of the employees from i-Genie. Today, we are featuring Linda. Linda works as a data scientist within i-Genie. So this is going to be a very interesting discussion to learn more about the inner workings of the machine. Before we start with the Q&A, I will just pass to Linda. Linda, could you just let us know your role and a very quick synopsis of what you do at i-Genie?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, thanks for having me, Tristan. My name is Linda Hoeberigs. I lead data science and AI here at i-Genie. And what that means in practice is that my team builds the AI that turns all of the consumer conversations into insights that brands can act on. So my job is really then making sure that the science is solid and that it actually works for the clients in the real world.
Fantastic. And I think we'll dive a little bit more into that later on. But yes, as we do with all these i-Genie get to know you interviews, we always like to start off with learning a little bit more about the person, this time behind the machine. So, Linda, it'd be great to just tell our audience whereabouts are you from? i-Genie has a very global workforce, so it'd be great to understand sort of where you live and maybe what's your favorite part of where you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am from the Netherlands and I live in The Hague at the moment. My favorite part of The Hague, I'd have to say, is definitely the beach. By far, we've got this really long, sandy coastline, and when the weather's nice, that almost feels Mediterranean. So we spend a lot of time there, me and yeah, my small family.
Fantastic. I have to say, I visited Amsterdam probably about 2 years ago.
Mm.
I know The Hague is a little way out of it. Absolutely fantastic place. So if anybody is in that area or region, definitely worth a visit. One of the things we also like to ask all our i-Genies, again, painting a picture of who we are, is, and it may not be in The Hague, it might be further afield, Linda, but is there a particular place that you like to go and eat, and why?
Yeah. So maybe a little bit of an unconventional answer because it's not a restaurant, it's a bakery here in The Hague. That is my favorite place. It's called Brood van Bro. And what I love about them is that they're just really inventive with whatever they make. So, for example, they've recently made a croissant that has goat cheese and kimchi in there, which may sound odd at first when you first hear it, but it just tastes incredible and it works so incredibly well. And they come up with these new kind of inventive pastries pretty much every month. So I love going there and trying their new things.
Fantastic. I think what's really great is obviously to those who are watching this now, we've done previous interviews and everybody's beginning to create a nice little list of different places that you can go and eat, whether it's a restaurant or a bakery. So well worth continuing to add to that list, and we can always send out some more suggestions to any viewers who would like them. So moving on, again, sort of getting to know the person behind the screen. What's one fun fact about you, Linda, that maybe people don't quite know?
I've got two for you actually. So the first one is that I'm a former national basketball champion, which is a little bit surprising given my short stature, but definitely true. And the second one is I became a parent about a year ago, and one of the very first things I did when I became a parent was building a price tracker for diapers because I realized how expensive those things are, and even just a couple pennies off the price makes such a huge difference at that volume. So yeah, there you go. Apparently, I can't have any life experiences without just turning them into one big data problem and trying to solve that.
I think that's fantastic. I think quite a few people will come after you for that. And yeah, your previous endeavor sounds fascinating. You'll have to dig up some photos as evidence. Great. So there we go. There's a little bit about Linda, everyone. I think as with all these interviews, we'll now flip more into what Linda does at i-Genie. This is obviously something which I think is fascinating because as AI gets more and more important in the world of research, I think your role, Linda, is getting more and more important. So I know you gave us a quick preview of what you do at i-Genie, but if you could tell the audience with a little bit more depth, that would be fascinating to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. So the headline is pretty much what I mentioned at the start of this conversation, right? Which is that we built the AI that turns consumer insights, that turns our data into the consumer insights that brands connect on. And what that means in practice is that we take tens of millions of unstructured consumer conversations and then use AI as the engine to really narrow that down, summarize it, enrich it into something actionable. That often also means using the very latest advances in AI. So that goes very quickly, right? When something gets released in a couple of weeks, we can see that live in our products already. And yeah, also just not using just AI for AI's sake, but really making sure we have those brands and insights front and center and leveraging this wherever is relevant for them. I don't do that by myself. I do that with a team of data scientists and AI engineers. And yeah, that's been really fun.
I think you made a really good point there, Linda. And this is something which we practice at i-Genie. It's not just using AI, it is all the experience behind it. So we have a fantastic CSP team here that will help anybody who is listening today sort of with those insights and explaining how they've come from those particular pieces of data sets. So very, very good and pertinent point there, Linda. Um, I think one of the things that you talked about, obviously, it's a passion of yours. Data science with things like nappies. So maybe this is one of the reasons why you kind of made your way into the industry. But one of the things that I think is really interesting for our viewers to know is why do you think what we do at iGenie is really important? And I think you touched upon it from an AI perspective. But I think giving just a little bit of color to that would be very, very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as our founder, one of our founders, Stan, often says, just being faster and cheaper is now kind of table stakes in the industry, right? Everybody's trying to do that. But yeah, what really excites me is that we're able to do things that simply weren't possible before with sort of methods that have been around for a lot longer. So, with a traditional survey, you ask maybe a few hundred people for their opinion. We read every single conversation online about a brand, and that's, tens of millions, sometimes hundreds of millions of opinions that were out there. We do that in the language they were written in, which is pretty unique. We cover around 19 different languages now, so that's quite sizable and quite a lot of conversations. And what really excites me as well is that me and my team are the people who can take all of those conversations and turn them into something that gives insight we didn't have before. So for example, through our brand polls, we can now give our clients an early read where their brand is heading before that ever shows up in the sales numbers. That is simply capability that wasn't out there before and that we've been able to synthesize. So kind of moving that needle and pushing that forward, I think is so important for the insights industry.
Totally agree. I think as the world becomes more complex and more time driven, this is going to continue to grow and grow. So I think it's great to hear about sort of what you've been doing at iGenie, Linda. I think to people who normally watch these type of videos, they're normally fascinated in the journey or where a particular iGenie employee has come from and sort of where they're wanting to go. So I think naturally the next question that I think would be great to get your answer to is what were you doing for iGenie? And then what made you want to join?
Like our founders, actually, I was at Unilever before, and there I learned how data science really works at a very large scale, right? But what pulled me to iGenie was, frankly, just the timing of it. The current wave of AI was just starting in 2022, right? And at a company this size, those advances in AI, they go straight into our products and they go straight into our production. There's no sense of, having to wait for approvals or having to wait for certain budgets to be freed up. We are so quick to action things in an AI world that is changing not even every single month, it's changing every single week. And that, I really loved that part, being able to action that in a company this size. Plus, I believed in Paul and Stan's vision so much that I decided to join this company as a founding employee and help build something that was so ambitious from the ground up.
I mean, it's amazing to think of where we were, yes, as you said, sort of 2022 to where we are now. And the world of AI has changed massively. I mean, fundamentally, the amount of not just businesses coming into it now, but the models that change. sort of, as you said, on a daily basis sometimes is crazy.
I think what is maybe also fascinating about i-Genie there is that from that very start, we've been on the forefront, right? We were using OpenAI not from GPT-4 or 3.5, but 3.5 was ChatGPT that people first saw, not even from ChatGPT 3, right? We've been with this kind of AI advance and seeing what can we do with this ever since GPT-2. And in the world of AI, that is an absolute lifetime ago. So yeah, that's just another testament of how much we are at the frontier here and always have been.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that is fantastic to hear. I think one thing which we touched upon is sort of, again, the reason why you came into i-Genie. Obviously, one of the best parts of working at i-Genie is not just being on the forefront of innovation, but working with fantastic and interesting colleagues. We have people who've done PhDs here. We have yourself, Linda, and we're sort of continually adding. But apart from those two things, and it may be something which is a little bit more, I don't know, personal. But I think it'd be great to hear, what is your favorite part of working at i-Genie, apart from the things which we've just covered now?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to mention the people and us being on the frontier on top of that as well, right? But I think in addition to those, there are another two things. So first of all is the impact that you have in many, many data science jobs. The models that you create tend to end up in slide decks, or maybe they make a prediction once for some meeting somewhere, and that number gets considered as part of many other inputs. But here at i-Genie, everything we build ends up in our products, and it's with the clients within weeks, and they make real decisions on the basis of that. So that kind of impact is just fantastic for me. And the second thing is the variety. So in the same week, I can be super deep into model evaluation and building the data science behind our products, but then also be presenting to a global brand of one of our clients. And that's just a very rare mix to combine. So I love that as well about working here at i-Genie.
I completely agree. I think it's the range and the responsibility that each of the i-Genie employees have is just fantastic. And I think that sort of very much is part of the ethos that obviously Stan and Paul give as well. Fantastic. So as we wrap this up, one last thing, Linda, and I think this is always a very interesting question to ask, because everybody has a slightly different answer to it. But what's one thing you wish everybody knew about i-Genie who are watching today?
This is maybe a slightly blunt or controversial take, but in a world where we see so many AI companies popping up left, right, and center, what I really want people to know about i-Genie is that i-Genie isn't an AI trick, right? What we're here to do is find the answers that brands need, and we know they already exist in reviews, in posts, in searches. We listen at a scale that no human team ever could, and we put serious science behind all of these algorithms before we ship them to make sure that our clients can rely on them. And yeah, AI enables that, but it's never AI for AI's sake. The point here is not to put AI in things or to, replace researchers even with AI. The point is really to amplify their curiosity and to allow them to spend time turning insights into action. So that's really what I would love for our audience to take away about i-Genie.
Fantastic. Yeah, completely aligned with insights to action. So there we have it, everyone. There is a very interesting interview, a little bit more behind the hood, a little bit more of what is running the machine through Linda. So thanks again for watching, and we will see you next time.